Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel. And today it's a special video again because, as you can see, I'm not alone. We have a special guest today, and it's none other than the one and only Sean Chandler from Sean Chandler Talks About. Welcome, Sean. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm excited. Always fun to talk about movies, YouTube, film criticism. I've got lots to say about all of that.
Okay, great. Yeah, as you already said, you talk about movies here on YouTube, but it wasn't always like that. As you said in your videos already several times, you started this channel. You started your channel 9 years ago, 9.5 years ago, almost.
hmm
Um,
Getting close to 10. It's
yeah,
creeping up on me.
actually, yeah. And before that, the thing is, you have actually started that while you were, I think, on rehab because of your addiction to alcohol.
Mhm.
Yeah, could you probably let's start with you tell us just give us a short thing, your idea of starting your YouTube channel. It was that just a very spontaneous, or did you have planned that for such a time?
Well, a kind of yes and no. On the one
Hmm.
hand, my YouTube channel, as it's known, Sean Chandler Talks About, was entirely impromptu. It was, I went on a date night to go see
Hmm.
the Lady Ghostbusters. I was unemployed at the time, and I was like, what am
Hmm.
I going to do? Why don't I just post a review on the internet? And somehow that turned into a new career trajectory for me. Changed the course of my life. Why do I just posted a review? So in that regard, it was very spontaneous. But that's a extreme oversimplification of my journey because that was not the first time I ever posted a video on YouTube. It was not the first
Hmm.
time I ever posted a review on the internet. I first posted my thoughts on movies on the internet 18 years before that.
Hmm.
Like I had a Jackie Chan fan webpage back in the 90s, and I posted reviews like action movies on there. And then I had blogs, I had false starts on
Hmm.
YouTube.
Hmm.
And so it's not so much that it was a uh, impromptu that came out of nowhere. It was something I'd always naturally done. It's something I always kind of done. And I'd never stuck with it, whether it was because I was too young and immature in high school and the tools weren't there, or whether I was just too busy with life. But there was
Hmm.
this window of time where I was unemployed, and maybe even perhaps for that exact reason, it kind of gave me the time, the focus to take what was kind of an off the cuff decision. I guess I'll just post a review and
Hmm.
turn that and grow that into something that actually had value for other people.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely worked out very well. I mean, you have over 300,000 subscribers today. Um, but as we said, it wasn't always that. And when I remember correctly, before you did YouTube full time, you said after your rehab, I think it was you had a full-time job as a paint deliverer, if I remember correctly.
hmm hmm
And the important question is now, Sean, how were you able to do that? Because you also have a family, of course. So how are you able to actually build a YouTube channel besides also working full time and having to care about your family? How's that possible?
Yeah, yeah. So the first 2.5 years of the channel. When I started out, I was unemployed, but obviously
Mhm.
that's not sustainable, and you don't make enough money on YouTube nearly fast enough. So got a job delivering paint. I don't know, a month or two after I started the YouTube channel. And so for the first 2.5 years of the YouTube channel, I was delivering paint 8 hours a day, which is, a very physically demanding job because it's picking up 50
Mhm.
pound buckets of
Mhm.
paint, one in each hand. So carrying 100 pounds like this all day long.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and that was up until when I went full time on YouTube, it was right before I hit 100,000 subscribers. So for the first 2.5 years and 95,000 subscribers, I had a full-time job. During that window of time, when we started, we had two kids. Baby number three came along the journey of the first 2.5 years of the YouTube channel. So it wasn't just that I had two kids, we also went through a pregnancy during that time period.
Mhm.
So how was I able to grow it? there's there's the time management side to it, and then there's the principles of YouTube growth. And so some of the principles of YouTube growth is just the simple fact of the first year I experimented, iterated. I didn't just go, I'm going to do movie reviews and just stick to that and go, why aren't I growing? I was trying different things, and I did movie news and did like a movie trivia show and of course reviews, and I did rankings and I did all these different things and was just constantly looking, okay, did that get views? Did that get subscribers? Did it have enormous value for subscribers? Did it build community? What is working, and how much time do each of these things require? There's some things I did that were like, well, that was really cool. Man, people loved that, but it took too much
Mhm.
time. And there are other things I did which had big payoff without requiring large amounts of time. So I was
Mhm.
just constantly trying things. And I got 9 months in, and I went, if I do a movie review, it gets 100 views. If I do a movie franchise ranking, it gets 400 reviews. Okay, well, I'm not a math genius, but 400 is more than 100. Maybe I
Mhm.
should make this the focus. And so 9 months in, I went, I'm going to do one of these rankings every single week. And I started growing twice as fast. So 2 months later, I was like, what if I did two per week? And started growing twice as fast once again. And then I went, what what is the video I would actually watch? Because my videos were too long at that point in time. And so, what would I actually watch? What do I have time to watch? And so, I made for a shorter video that tried to be a little bit funnier, and it was tied to a new Marvel movie, and that became my biggest hit video of all time. So, it was just like trying a lot of things, studying what worked, finding the thing that worked, and then optimizing that, doing the best version of it, trying to make what actually delivering value to people and creating the video in a way that they actually wanted. And then I went, okay, man, a ranking that's this length, doing, if I do a ranking at this size, it's really popular. What if this wasn't just one ranking of the movies? What if I had a series out of this? What if I could talk
Mhm.
about the characters or final battles? And okay, now I've got a hit video idea. Now I have a hit video series. And every time one of these franchises come out, I don't just get one hit video, I get four hit videos out of it. Okay. And that was a series of decisions made from May 2017 until um, February 2018 that
Okay.
essentially changed the course of my life and made this thing go full time. So that's the YouTube strategy side to it, like
Mhm.
running through real
Mhm.
quickly the big breakthrough moments that I had along the way. Um, the how, as someone that was really busy, some of it is you just all day long, if I have a moment, I'd pull out my phone and I'd write my notes.
Mhm.
I use Evernote. I've always used Evernote to kind of track notes and things like that, write all my notes for my videos. And before
Mhm.
this, I did it, and
Mhm.
that's what I do for everything else.
Yep.
Middle of the day, if I'm at a stoplight, all right, long stoplight, pull out my phone, and I'd write my notes for that night's video. Write them real quick. And all right, delivered my paint. I'm going to pause because my body hurts. I'm going to take a drink. I'm going to take 5 minutes to be able to recover. All right, I'm going to pull out my phone, write some notes. I'm going to look up the movie news. I'm going to look up, and whatever those little moments were, every little moment, pause to write something right there. And I'd get home from work and I'd come upstairs looking rough, shoot the video. Then I'd spend 3 hours hanging out with my kids, put them to bed, and I'd edit the video. And I just kind of cut everything else out. I mean, it was work, it was movies, it was family. That's kind of all there was for the first couple of years. And that kind of created some patterns of, okay, I need to think ahead. What
Mhm.
movies
Mhm.
do I need to watch? When am I going to watch them? And just being very intentional, scheduling my time around um, what do I need to get done, and finding every little moment all throughout the day and dropping everything else.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you, Sean, for this analysis. And yeah, I think that's very important because, as I've said, people, if you remember what I've said in one of my first videos, the first part of my filmmaking journey was actually the right mindset. And I said that many people are good at finding excuses. I would love to do something, but I can't because I don't have time, I have no ideas actually, and so on and so on. And I think, Sean, you are a good example for actually going into it with the right mindset. I
Yeah.
have an idea, I really want that, and so I just continue doing that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and and see, of
Well,
course,
and if
there's
you want
like,
to see the results of a job, If you want
Hmm.
it to become your job, you have to treat it like a job. You can't treat it like a
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah.
If it's when it's a hobby, you make excuses. When it's a hobby, you you don't want to do the hard stuff. You want to do the fun side to it, not the work side
Hmm.
to it. And so it's like people treat their YouTube channel and they go, "Well, I only want to do things like this." Well,
Hmm. Hmm.
sure, all of us just want to sit down and do the fun part. We have to do the work part. And the work part is analysis. It's looking at what works. It's looking for holes in the market. It's being reflective and critical of yourself and acknowledging your faults. And it's like sacrificing things. It's saying, I
Hmm.
can't, like, I'm not going to play video games for the next 2 years. Like, I don't have that. I don't have time for that right now because I have kids I need to spend time with and a wife I need to spend time with. And I want to grow this thing. It really matters to me. And so all that other stuff gets sidelined so I can work on this thing that actually matters to me.
Hmm.
And most people they can't do that. Like just go, my hobby is also this thing I'm taking seriously. I'm
Hmm.
treating it like a
Hmm.
second job, but also I get enjoyment out of going to the movies and talking about them and meeting people on the internet. You just have to like make that happen.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very well said, John. And yeah, that's as I said, very good for very good example for the right mindset. But let's go to a topic where I think actually some of my viewers are already asking that. Moritz, why do you do an interview with Sean? I mean, Sean is obviously his channel is about different topics. He's all about movie reviewing, movie ranking, and so on, and you're about filmmaking. How does that fit? Well, here's the thing. Um, Movie criticism and filmmaking and film criticism, I think, goes hand in hand together. Because, I mean, and Sean, I think you can probably agree to that. In some way, we are all movie critics as soon as we watch a movie and actually give a review and rate it. But Sean, to be specifically, movie critics don't always have the best reputation out there, especially in the age of social media, where like everyone can be somewhat of a movie critic. And
That's
there's
how I
always
made a career out of it because anyone could do it.
yeah, exactly. And there's always this statement of people saying stuff like, movie critics have no idea what audiences really want to see. They just care about this and this in a movie. On
Mhm.
Rotten Tomatoes, especially, it's always about, the political message in a movie. Um, what would you say in response to that? I mean, as a critic yourself, what do you say when you hear something like movie critics don't know anything about movies? What is your response to that?
I mean, it's so hard to there are so many different movie critics out there, and what
Hmm.
happens is we in the age of Rotten Tomatoes, which
Yeah.
aggregates hundreds of critics into a percentage,
Hmm.
and it treats it as if critics are a monolith where this one thing, like the metrics, the thing that people use to talk about what do critics think about this movie,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
literally designed to convert all critics into one mush,
Yeah.
which isn't it's not like it's a tool, it's useful for something, but that's not a very good way to perceive of all film critics because they come in so many different batches in different flavors. um so it's kind of frustrating in that regard, but there's a side to it that can also be true, and you always have to get to the what's the why behind this disconnect, because the suggestion that people that dedicated their lives to
Hmm.
watching movies because they love movies so much, the idea that like they don't really know what they're talking about, well, that's probably not true. But why
Hmm.
is it that there is this gap? And I think most people, average Joe, goes to the movies maybe once a month. These days, maybe once
Hmm.
every
Hmm.
2 months. And
Yeah.
they only go to see their thing. And whether that's action movies, it's comedies, it's superhero movies, it's horror movies, they just go
Mhm.
see their one thing. And if you're a horror person, you just love whatever horror comes out. If
Mhm.
you're a critic, you go see everything. Like as of right now, I've seen
Yeah.
I think 148 new movies from 2025. So you should do the math on that.
Whoa.
I've seen over 3 new movies every single week this year, if you average it
Yeah.
out. That's way more than your average Joe. And that
Hmm.
means I'm going to go see movies that aren't specifically designed to my taste. I'm going to go see everything. And that's my relationship to movies is different. And like it changes the way you watch movies when you see 150 new movies in a year. You start to recognize the generic tropes, the patterns.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay,
Hmm.
I've already seen this movie before. I've already seen this done before. If
Hmm.
you only go see 12 new movies in a year, you're not burned out on the tropes. You're not tired of it the way that a critic is. And sometimes that's where like these like weird artsy things, why do critics go crazy for them? Because they're just weird and different. You're just
Hmm.
so used to seeing the same generic thing. Like people
Yeah.
pick on these movies like Red Notice and stuff that Netflix puts out with the Rock and Ryan Reynolds. But that was like the most watched movie on Netflix. Like everyone at home watched it. But no one remembered it. Like and you kind of like
Hmm.
critics see that and they get so irritated that so many resources are going towards something that leaves
Hmm.
absolutely no impact. Average Joe on a Friday night's like, I got home from work, I just wanted to watch The Rock and Ryan Reynolds be charming, and I got that
Hmm.
for 2 hours. I forgot about it, but I got whatever I wanted out of it, and then they move on with their life. But I think it's the way you watch movies is so different, and like
Hmm.
you can get into the political side and things like that. And I mean, I think there's L.A. has a huge percentage of film critics. New York City has a huge percentage of film critics, and those cities are
Yeah.
bubbles that are
Hmm.
very different. They are on like a more extreme version of the politics of the United States that
Hmm.
kind of has a
Hmm.
real distinct flavor to it that doesn't reflect the world and it doesn't reflect the rest of the country. And so you have some of these disconnects where Hollywood is inclined towards certain ideas and messaging where they're not entirely in alignment with most of the rest of the country. And so you see that in film criticisms too. Like, and there's all these kind of different things that kind of factor into exactly what's going
Hmm.
on with these disconnects. And you can pick each example and try and figure out, is it this? Is it this with this one? And, Minecraft. My, I'm a 44-year-old man. I went to go see Minecraft and I was like, what on earth am I watching? For my 13-year-old son, middle schooler, this is the greatest film event of all time. Like, this is like I'm watching it with him opening night, and he's like shaking in his seat, trying to like starting to say, I was like, what is my son doing? And it turns out he was prepared for a screening that he just wasn't at. He went 2 days later with his friend, and they went to go see it. And everyone in the theater's throwing popcorn and jumping up and down, doing backflips and stuff. It was the greatest
Yeah.
cinematic event of their life. And I'm like, what is this? And you have a movie that was designed for middle school boys
Hmm.
being reviewed by 40-year-old men. And it's like there's all these different reasons you can unpack for each one of them. But that's if I were to like try to like put a non-cynical twist on it. Critics aren't the villains. They just not might not be they don't always have their finger on the pulse. Their scorecard is different. Their spheres are different. That's where
Hmm.
I try as best as I can to have the knowledge of the film critic, but have the taste and perspective of a fan. Hopefully, I can speak upstream from audiences and I can have better understanding of the background of how a movie was made, but also, yeah, I like the same stuff normal people like.
Yeah, and I think this is something that's an important thing, as you said it. Movie critics are also just people who like some kind of movies, and but they see like everything, and not
Yeah,
everything is for them. So this
right.
is like how it turns out to be. Yeah. Um, but
Yeah,
there's a
well,
very
as a
yeah.
quick one, I had a video early on that
Oh,
did
yeah.
great. One of these examples, one of these experiments I did on when Venom
Hmm.
came out, and the
Yeah.
the audience critic score gap was huge.
Yeah. Hmm.
I just did a video on that. It was like, what is going on here? And you just immediately go, well, the target audience for Venom got what they wanted. The trailer sold you on what this movie
Hmm.
was going to
Hmm.
be. And so the audience self-selected all these people, and I'm not going to go see that. That looks terrible. But the
Hmm.
people that went, that looks fun, went to go see it, and a bunch of them really liked this bizarre bromance movie.
Hmm.
But it was
Hmm.
self-filtered. And Minecraft, it's self-filtered. That the people like a 40-year-old man without kids wasn't like, chicken jockey, I'm going to go see Minecraft. No, he's like, that's for the kids. I'm going to skip this one. Versus,
Hmm.
once again, critics don't self filter like that. They don't go see what they want, they go see everything. And
Yeah.
that's one
Yeah.
of those things that just creates like such a huge gap. Historically, that's been a huge thing with horror, where critics don't like horror movies. Well, horror movies inherently are spicy food. Like there's people that just do
Hmm.
not like gore, they don't like jump scares. So it's a genre built around things that a lot of people just do not enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's a genre that plays to that specific audience.
Hmm. Absolutely. But here's a maybe a certain anomaly with movies because as an aspiring filmmaker who wants to make an indie movie, there's an interesting thing because um, and Sean, I ask you that as someone who has seen, like as a critic, you have seen like every kinds of movies from small, low budget movies to big blockbusters. There is a possibility that, and I think many critics would agree to that, that a small movie made on a low budget can be better than a big budget movie. Um, what do you think? What is necessary in a low budget movie so that critics may see that and say this is better than many big budget movies? Because it's obviously that you can't get when you have just a small budget, you can't get like, the best you can get the best cameras, microphones, best actors, whatever. But how can you still make a great movie with limited possibilities? What do you think is most important from a critic's perspective?
Well, I mean, I think the thing that you can do is you can write a really tight script that's
Hmm.
designed for your target audience member in a
Yeah.
way that one of the problems with big Hollywood, going back to our Red Notice being the
Hmm.
perfect
Hmm.
example of this, you're,
Yeah.
you're talking about movies that we're going to spend $200 million on it. So we're designing a movie that's just generic omni movie for everyone. That it's
Yeah.
got action, a little romance, comedy, globe trotting. It's just generic the movie.
Hmm.
No one's offended by it, but nobody loves it.
Hmm.
And it's focus grouped to be as broadly accessible as possible. When you're making a small budget movie, you can say, I'm making a movie for 25-year-old dudes that are trying to make their way in this world, that they're transitioning
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
youth into adulthood, and it's
Yep.
confusing. And I want to tap into that feeling, that emotion in a confusing world. And so you design a movie for a really specific person because you don't need to make $200 million. You don't need it to play to everyone on the planet. You need to make it so the target audience loves it. And you write a script that's designed for a
Hmm.
person much more specifically. And it's targeted. And that's even kind of going to a lot of film festivals. That's what you feel. You watch a movie and you feel
Hmm.
like it has such a specific singular voice designed for a specific type of person and you go,
Yeah.
that's right. This is what movies with a like that aren't corporate designed for everyone
Hmm.
feel like.
Hmm.
They're designed for an individual. And so, I mean, I think that's the big one is a script that is clever, that's smart. It's not about the or it's not about the size. It's about being specific and targeting, designing what is this person's best version of this film that I can
Hmm.
make. And then it's likewise trying to figure out what is the angle that you have that someone hasn't done yet. What can you do that Hollywood wouldn't do? What's that
Hmm.
thing?
Hmm.
And like even in this is like the crassest example I can give, but like I interviewed the director of Terrifier,
Hmm.
Damien Leone.
Yeah.
So he made the first movie for
Yeah.
$35,000,
Yeah.
and he did like made all the effects and everything like that. And I'm asking like, so why, like, how did it Terrifier turn into this shock and awe? And he's like, if I made a normal slasher, I cannot
Mhm.
compete with Hollywood because they're just going to be bigger, slicker, everything.
Yeah.
But there's a list of things that Hollywood just won't do. So if I just went, Hollywood will not do this, they will not show this. Where are their lines? If I cross the lines that a big studio will not cross, immediately I put myself in a different category than them. I'm
Hmm.
oh,
Hmm.
like they're playing in this playground. I'm outside of the playground and I stand out. So trying to figure out what is that? What is that way that you can go where they can't go, they won't go? Some of that is that
Hmm.
specificity of making a movie for 25-year-old single dude, 35-year-old married woman, like whatever, like whoever, whatever that is, you target in on them and make as specific of a movie as possible and look for whatever that divergent thinking is. How do you break off from the norm and what everyone else has done? And you find your unique angle where because you're not in the studio system, you have freedom. You can go against the grain. You can break the rules
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
try something daring and different.
Yeah. I will definitely try to do that. And so here, hear it, everyone. Everyone who wants to become a filmmaker, here is your official advice from a respected film critic. Sean, it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Mhm.
I think we should come to an end now because this interview is already very long. But yeah, as I said, it was absolutely
Ask me questions. We have several other questions. I've given long answers
yeah.
as I always do.
Yeah, yeah. It was great, Sean. It was great. But yeah. We're definitely near at the end. But yeah, people, if you like that, show it by giving it a thumbs up. Also, write in the comments if you want to see more of me with Sean Chandler. Maybe we do a part two once in the future. And yeah, as always, you can find the link to my Instagram in the description below. And of course, you can also find a link to Sean's channel in the description. Definitely check that out. He has, as he said, movie rankings, movie reviews. I'm sure there's something for you. Yeah, so without further ado, that's it. That's all for me today. Yeah, I'm gonna see you in my next video. And Sean, I leave the last words of the video to you.
Yeah, if you want to find me on the internet, look up Sean Chandler. You'll either find a football player or a guy that looks like me talking about movies. It's the guy that looks like me that's talking about movies.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure people will do that. All right. That's all for it. Bye, everyone.